I'll take a motion to approve.
Oh, hold on. Roll call.
Oh,
Bergstrom.
sorry.
Yes.
Merritt.
Yep.
Taylor.
Yes.
Thompson. Vansickle. Okay, sorry.
Okay, now. Now go.
I move to approve the agenda. Second.
Bergstrom.
Yes.
Taylor.
Yes.
Merritt.
Yes. All right, looks like we've got a presentation.
Yeah, so presentation is actually embedded in our action item. So that was actually removed tonight, and this might be our first action item for our students. And Derek, as you guys know, is sponsoring and chaperoning with the senior trip. So he will not be here for the principal report. So Amy, I'm going to actually hand it off to you.
All right.
Just have a list of a few things. So last time we talked about some fifth grade students were headed to Ames for Battle of the Book. So we sent 4 teams. One of the teams made the finals, and to get to the finals, they missed only 2 questions out of both battle rounds. So definitely have to have a lot of understanding of the books that they read, and did a great job with that. Miss Britton last week planned a deer week, so just things throughout the week. She did a camp theme, so she had a campfire set up in the library, and kids, when they came to check out books, were able to read around the campfire, and connected that to some activities during STEAM, where kids could do some problem solving of building a tent, creating some different things, and then stopped on Friday, and students moved all over the building to be able to just read in a place that they enjoyed for about 15 minutes. But it's interesting when you let everybody go at once, wherever they want. They got where they needed to be and just really enjoyed time with a good book. We finished our second week of Mileage Club, so students can participate with that at their lunch recess. And as of the end of the day today, within 2 weeks, kids have ran a total of 826 miles. So it's crazy to see how quick they run and how long they run during their lunch recess. But a lot of kids are attempting to run a marathon by the beginning of May. There's some incentives set up with Mary Greeley Hospital to do that. And then also with that, there's been a couple challenges. So in the time of Mileage Club, if they try 20 new fruits and vegetables, they kind of complete a challenge. And then last week, if they participated 4 out of the 5 days, there was a water challenge where for every student that did that, they're putting all the schools together, but then they purchase, the hospital purchases some water filtration systems for schools in Haiti. So just kind of building healthy habits, but also doing good for others in the process. 5th grade has been working through, they started at the beginning of the year, they're matched with a pen pal and write back and forth each month with their pen pal. And last week got to meet the person that they've been writing. And it's just exciting both ways to see a lot of retired teachers or different people from the community come in and are excited to meet the students, but they're just as excited to kind of see who's on the other side of that letter and who's been writing them all year. Preschool has been busy with a community partner and community helper unit. So there's been a lot of different family members have come in with a lot of just different jobs and ways that they help the community. So we've had a snowplow there from the DOT. Chief Bailey has been there with his police truck. There's been somebody to talk about electricity, somebody from the dentist, somebody that came in and talked through x-ray. So a lot of just exposure to different careers, but also getting, I think, students being able to see what their parents do and share that with other students in the classroom. But they're pretty excited about their learning. And then families were invited in last week for pastries with parents. So just they were actually there when everybody was moving through the building to be able to read. And I think it's great for some of our youngest students to have their parents in the building and being able to see what the rest of the building looks like in action, because sometimes they're not out and about in the building. We have started today safety patrol, so Michelle Cruz has really organized that. So we have some vests that kids are wearing, and they're out assisting with just getting kids to school and families, and has been another example of kind of removing the lid for some kids and letting them really stand up to be leaders. And most of our 5th graders are really excited to be a part of that. But just doing some teaching about safety outside and letting them take the lead on that, which is super helpful for the adults that are out there in the morning on duty. And then just two other things. May 6th, we're having a family engagement night, so partnering that with our book fair. But going to have some different activities that families can engage with and also be able to swing through the book fair if they like. But we're excited to have an event on the calendar to welcome families back in. We're going to have people can eat dinner there, grab a snack, but also have fun with their classmates and families. And then last thing, next week, we are a week behind the secondary building, but we will do ISAS next year or next week, testing wise. But a couple of things with that, just meeting with our 4th and 5th graders who have taken that before to do some goal setting, just kind of where they were last year and kind of their progress, what they have worked hard to, and just kind of building with them that opportunity for growth and really showing us what they know. Our 3rd, 4th, and 5th grade families are writing letters to their child, and so those are coming in, but we're hoping on Monday that they're, if from a family or from a staff member, every student will have a letter just with some encouragement to do their best. And then our 2nd grade students are working through a video of encouragement, so that'll be done at the end of the week when I go to talk to classes. They have a message or kind of learning how to make a video to encourage students that are taking that assessment, but also kind of building this is what's coming for you next year. So lots of things happening right now in the building.
Well, the safety vests look great. I noticed that this morning.
Sorry.
Huh? They look great. Good job. Good quality shoes. Really?
Yeah, Amazon.
That's nice.
And the staff would also like those now out on
And the student looked
Yeah.
super excited and with this little stop sign.
Yep.
I thought that was so cute. It was great. Do you guys have numbers on the book blast? Or we don't have those numbers
We do
yet?
not have final numbers
I
yet.
bet it's a lot though. I feel like a lot of people. Anybody else have a question or comment?
Thank you.
All right. Wow. Yeah, you're busy over there, Amy. Thank you so much. All right, consent agenda looks pretty standard. Any comments?
Yeah, so the FCLA fundraiser for June 13th and 14th, wanted to point that we hiring some coaches for summer and or fall season. So that was on there. Have a few resignations, and then the Street Smarts 3-year contract for driver's education. They've been a provider for us in the past, and just continuing that partnership. Melissa did hand out a corrected consent agenda. There was actually a clerical error for our new ag teacher. So that is in front of you. Just wanted to make note of that as well.
Right. Great. Anybody have a motion?
I'll move that the consent agenda is approved. I'll second.
Bergstrom,
Yes.
Taylor,
Yes.
Merritt.
Yes. All right, good. Okay, now I think we're going to do the presentation.
Yeah. It seems that we've had a lot of out-of-state travel requests, and I think that usually means that our kids are actively involved and doing a lot of great things. And we have our SCCLA here tonight because they are going to request to attend nationals. Whenever you hear nationals, that's a pretty big deal. So they're here tonight.
We've grown since last year.
Right. Let's see.
Okay. Okay, so all of us and Adeline Banks and Madison Shoemaker and Braylee Hudmill attended the FCCLA and Palmer Hickenbottom. A lot of us. We attended the State Leadership Conference in Cedar Rapids, March 22nd through the 25th. Jane and I were there, I think, on the 21st to help set everything up. So, yeah, it was good.
Okay, so starting off, we have like a little rundown of all the different events, just like when we say something, you guys know what we're talking about. So for our peer education, this is like, it connects with the national program, so this is statewide and national-wide. There's 8 different programs that help students develop real-world skills for life within FCS education. So students, they'll like register to do it, and then you can either do 3 little projects, or you can do 1 big project, and you'll kind of just like do a summary of that, and you'll do that. And you can submit it, and you can get scholarships for that, and kind of just, it's like a little community stuff, like there's just a bunch of different things that you can do with that.
our STAR events. So STAR stands for Students Taking Action with Recognition. They're a competitive event and they can compete at the district, state, and the national level with these. There's more than 30 STAR events to choose from. They demonstrate their knowledge, skills, abilities to actively identify an issue concerning families, careers, or communities, research the topic, and then develop and implement a project to advocate for positive change.
And then an Iowa event is something more on the STAR events are more national, even though it's local and national. And then the Iowa events are just within Iowa, and they're kind of like the STAR events, but they're just like a little smaller. So people normally start with an Iowa event, and then they'll work up to the STAR event. So those are different ones like $15 meal, cake decorating, table designs, kind of just a bunch of different things to just kind of get you started.
Hey, I did an Iowa event, so I did a section called Pride of Iowa, and I presented my Rice Krispie treats. So they're a very known treat, but they actually originated in Iowa, so I wanted to present those. And it was really cool to go to this and just see all the different things like the future I could have.
And then Braylee's not here, but she competed in the cake decorating. The theme for this year was Reach for the Stars for the conference as a whole, so she kind of based her cake around that.
I'm Gabe Klotz. I did the Iowa Food Truck Challenge. It's where you had to design a food truck from scratch, and you had to make one dish and like make a menu board. All that. I have the binder here. I presented to the judges and all that. There was word information. But I made these bacon wrapped pork bites. It was a pork loin wrapped in bacon, and then dipped in more of like a ketchup type and brown sugar type sauce. And it really made them taste pretty good.
Okay, so obviously Addie and Maddie are not here, but Addie competed in the grilled cheese challenge back at Fall Rally, and then she actually placed first there, so she got to go to the state level to compete in like the state level of that. And so that's her with Chef Michael. He's from Iowa Central, and she also did cake decorating with Maddie Shoemaker. Maddie's not here, but she wanted us to tell you guys that we had to make this cake based off the theme Reach for the Stars. During this experience, I had so much fun designing this cake from the foam base, working our way up with the real ingredients to decorate it. In the end, our cake turned out really well, and I will definitely be doing it again. So here's their cake that they made. It's
I'm Levi Bernard. I competed in the repurpose and redesign star event, and I did really good. I got a gold medal, and I made it to nationals. And for that, I created these jean tote bags out of old reused jeans, and I presented this poster board, so the judges seemed to really like it.
I'm Lola Ferguson, and I competed in the early childhood education star event. This is the binder that I presented to the judges. And basically, what I had to do to prepare for this to go to state was create my own lesson plan. I created two. I did one for reading / like writing, and I did one for science. And I created a bunch of fun activities that I knew every student would want to be involved in, and try and make students have their own opinion and feel like they had a voice in the classroom. Oh, and I got gold, and I'm going to national.
Yeah. I'm Glenda Moody. Palmer isn't here today, but we competed in a team project, food innovations. We had to create a protein shake was our goal this year. We did all right. We got a bronze medal at state. Basically, the project consisted of creating our own original recipe for it and then going through and testing different groups of people. That's about it.
Okay, and then you guys know us, but I'm Jane Bernard, and I served as your 2024-2025 VPM membership. So I ended my term earlier in March. So that was a good year of my life.
I also served as a 2024-2025 vice president of community service. It was a lot of fun, very bittersweet, but it was a great time. And
Oh yeah, and at state, so last year at state conference we had around 300 members. And then this year at state conference, we had more than 740 members, advisors, and guests attend. So as state officers over the past year, we did a really good job recruiting members and.
And then I'm going to add to that. This is the first year in over 30 years that they can remember, if maybe at all, that they've had 26 applicants for state officer this year. We had Glenda and Lola that attempted to run and all that for it out of 26. They've never had that many before. And then as of Saturday, we are 49 members shy of 10,000 members in Iowa alone. I'm Miss Levicki. This year, this will be my 4th year total, 2nd year at Ogden. I received the top 15 advisor of the year finalist. I'm waiting to hear if I made top 5 any day now. And then I was also awarded the Spirit of Advising Award this year. And then Jane, are you gonna talk about yours?
Yeah.
Okay. That's all I got.
And a well-deserved award.
Thank you very much.
Here's some photos. Here's Jane and I, and then the rest of our state officer team. This is us as a chapter all there. Jane and I and the officer team again. Another chapter picture. Here's us out to sushi as a chapter, the state officers, and then this is our state executive director, Sherry Vogel. And then here's Jane and I and our families and how they keep at our little officer farewell.
Nobody cried.
And then as state officers, we had to do different workshops. So my workshop that I did with a couple other officers was I did Driven to Distraction. And through this, we played Mario Kart, and different members had to try to play Mario Kart and then eat and drink and try to text. So it really showed them like how that can really affect your driving. And then we also did a ruler reaction test. You drop a ruler, you catch it, you see what number it's on, and then you'll drop it again, but you'll be having a conversation with somebody, and then you'll try to catch it and see how much the number changes when you're distracted.
My workshop was called Mind Matters, and I did this with 2 of our other state officers. It was all based around mental health and positivity. We did like a Kahoot trivia thing where we put everybody in the room in a group, and they all had to work together to figure out the correct answer for the trivia question. And then we had little jars, little slips of paper, and like a bunch of stickers so they could create little gratitude jars for things that make them happy. Okay, so as a high school chapter, we received the Gold Honor Chapter Award at State Leadership Conference. It just kind of shows our dedication and hard work and all the community service projects we've done and stuff throughout this year.
And then I was selected as a top 15 member of the year finalist. And then Ms. Levicki was in the top 15 for advisor. These awards are presented by the U.S. Army, and this is the highest recognition an FCCLA member or advisor can achieve. This award honors the exceptional student and advisor among FCCLA's more than 240,000 members who demonstrate outstanding leadership, commitment to FCCLA's mission, and the U.S. Army's core values of loyalty, duty, respect, selfless service, honor, integrity, and personal. So we applied for that and we got in the top 15. So that's really good.
And obviously, you guys know that we had 2 of our members advance to nationals, and Jane and I also were planning to attend nationals. It's in Orlando, Florida, July 4th through the 9th, but we go 4th to the 9th, 4th through the 11th for like our travel trip. So it'll be just like we went to Seattle. Those 2 will compete. Jane and I will go and go to the workshops, probably help judge events and things like that. And Glenda?
Oh, yeah. I was selected for the National Leadership Scholarship this year to go to nationals. They provide your plane ticket and room and board and everything for me to go to nationals. I'm not sure exactly how many people applied, but there are 52 state organizations in the U.S. And out of all of those, I was chosen in the top 15 to go.
It's kind of like a VIP treatment for the 15. Wow. They get their own chaperones, their own travel arrangements. They get to do all the behind the scenes. They're in good hands, but they really are VIP for, I think you're gonna do some on-stage services too. So yeah, big honor there.
Awesome.
That it? I think that's all we have.
All right. Questions?
Just a comment, I've told you a few personally, but for all the organizations I see around the school, I think this provides probably the biggest boost for your leadership skills for the future. So stay at it. You know, it's I can see these two girls over here now that they've been in it, the growth that they have, and they still have. You both have a couple more years, or at least one more year.
Yeah.
So I really think it's a wonderful, football and wrestling and basketball, but we get old. We don't do that when we get old, but we always have the opportunity to lead. So
Thank
pretty
you.
good. Big
Yes.
stuff. Excellent work.
Good job, guys. Really good.
Thank
Thank you.
All right. So are we going to
Here
Florida
we
or
go.
what?
Thank you. I like that picture. Thanks, Roland.
I just want to point out, it's obviously ISAS week or the next couple of weeks, and measures and numbers matter and how well we perform. And I would argue we have data to support that we are doing well. But when we're able to bring students in like this, and Amy was able to talk about the experiences that happen at the elementary, I think we are living out our mission statement of providing those desired daily experiences for our kids and for our people. So I appreciate the presentation. It was very well done.
Absolutely. Very good. All right. If you're okay with them going to Florida, I will take a motion.
And so move that they are about to go.
I will
to
second.
Florida.
Bergstrom,
Yes.
Taylor,
Yes.
Merritt.
Yes. All right. Now we have a budget amendment hearing. Did one of you want to explain what or should I just go right into it?
I will go just a little bit,
Yeah.
and honestly, I'd like you to add to it. But honestly, really, it would be what we had originally versus where we're at now. There are changes, and that was posted on our website. Those changes were due to Pebble expenditures, not when we went to hit save. Did not hit save correctly. And then we found out that when you do a pre-levy for our debt, that is an expenditure. So it went from one bank to the other, and we needed to assume that. So did I explain that correctly?
Yeah, well, I had just originally recorded it as a change in where our cash was located, our regular bank versus the escrow bank, but we found out it should have been recorded as a previous year's expense because we no longer have control of our escrow funds. And so we have a big audit entry for an expense. So that's why we had to amend our budget for that piece.
You put the Pebble and 500,000 in pre-debt levy. That's obviously the changes in the overall budget.
And it doesn't affect our property tax rate for the year. It's just we're letting the public know where we published our best guess on our expenditures for this year would be we didn't quite hit the mark, and we are going to spend a little bit more than what we published.
Okay. All right. So in order to do that, we do need a public hearing. So the public hearing on the amendment of current budget for fiscal year 2024-25 is now open. Okay. I will now close the public hearing. And I would entertain a motion to approve that.
So moved.
Second.
Bergstrom,
Yes.
Taylor,
Yes.
Merritt.
Yes. Okay, and now we've also got to do a hearing for the certified budget.
Correct. So in March we had one, and they've made changes in the law that you need to have two public hearings. So this would be our second public hearing for our tax rate. If you guys recall, the conversation that we had in March is last year we were at 1348. This year per thousand we're at 1345. Overall, that matters, but really it matters on the valuations. And collectively with that, and we're in a budget guarantee this year, we will be operating ultimately with about $36,000 less dollars. So just trying to be good stewards of that. So a public hearing for the 1345 tax rate is what we would have.
Okay. The public hearing on the certified budget for fiscal year 2025-26 is now open. Okay, I will now close the public hearing and entertain a motion to approve that certified budget.
So moved.
Second.
Bergstrom,
Yes.
Taylor,
Yes.
Merritt.
Yes. Okay, moving on. To consideration of continued participation in ISP.
Yep.
I know you wanted to talk a little bit about this.
Absolutely. So I will, in a minute, I'll walk over there and I have a presentation that I would prepare for you guys tonight. But instructional supply program, support program, it's been actually in place since 1992. It is something that Ogden has participated in, and you'll see it in the presentation. Most of the school districts in the state of Iowa actually participate in it. It gives us some additional dollars in our general to be able to do the things that we need to do. So if you guys want, what we're asking for is you guys to set a public hearing for us to consider that in May after I go through the presentation. So I'm going to hand over there and get that set up. Actually, I have a handout too. So if you guys wanted notes as I'm setting up, if you'd be willing to hand things out to the board members. Okay, so as I talked about, I just wanted to talk. I got about 8 or 9 slides here just to give you guys more information. Sorry, you guys want to be able to see the instructional support program and a little bit more about what that is and what it's able to do for our schools. I set this presentation up in kind of a question and then an answer format. So just really inform you guys and inform also the community. But instructional support program, it's also referred to as ISL, Instructional Support Levy. Is really a mechanism to allow schools to really generate additional dollars in general. It can be used locally as a school board sets. You can do a 5-year for the board, or it can go to your patrons, and it could be a 10-year. Currently, right now, ours would expire in 2026, and that would be after 5 years. And what we're asking for is in May to be able to have a public hearing to renew that for that 5 years. What is permissible use of the, really ultimately it goes into general, but when it's in that general, what we ultimately are using it for is it equates to almost 5 FTEs. So if we were not to have these dollars, it's about $600 per kid. You guys will see that now coming slide here, but it allows us the authority to be able to purchase those. If we did not have ISL, we would be less money in our general, which we would have to make some ultimately some changes. You can do up to 10%, and the board has the ability to do any of those ranges. I'll show you guys a slide here in a little bit where other schools in the state of Iowa, where they set their ISL at. Currently, our ISL is actually at that 10%. So a little bit more about Ogden's funding. It is that 10%, as I just indicated. And ultimately, in the fiscal year 25, it would actually generate about $400,000. You see that $387,000, $600 per kid. So that levy allows us the authority to be able to do a lot of things. The composition. So really, as a board, you guys can decide what you want to do with that. And we generate, I think our language says to break it up as equal as possible between property and an income source tax. So that's ultimately when you actually do the numbers, take that 387 that I just shared with you guys. It's 191,000 in the property tax, and then the income source tax is 196,000. A little bit more about the state of Iowa. So there's 325 schools in the state of Iowa. 324 of the 325 have an instructional support levy in place. Of those, 322 of them are at 8% or higher. So 98%, 99%. We are at that 10% range. We're exactly where most schools, 99% of the schools in the state of Iowa are.
Why wouldn't the one school be?
It's a great question. It's and you'll see it in a minute. It's Al-McKee, and I'm not sure why Al-McKee is not doing it.
Well, it's a big Catholic school in Al-McKee, so
okay. That could be the case. of the schools, it's interesting to see 275 of the school districts actually do some income surtax. Let's be able to break that up. And then this is just kind of a graph. Obviously, the blue, when you say 324 out of 325 are actually in it. Allen McKee would be this anomaly right here. And then these two school districts have ISL in place, but it would be at a lower percentage than the 8%. So they're probably in that 4 to 6 range for their ISL support. Cool question. I'll come over here and join you guys for the questions.
I think we changed it to 50-50. I'll say
At least 2 times ago.
Oh yeah, 2013, 2014. Prior to that, I think it was all property tax. And at the time, the thinking was, I think that at that time, the board liked the idea of the income surtax rather than property, just to alleviate some of the property burden. Moving forward, and we all agreed, well, let's try 50-50 and see what that looks like. So, what do you think?
So how?
You know, with it being equally spread, the thing with that is if it were to be a higher percentage in the property, your property owners would carry a large portion of this. With it being an income surtax, you don't have to be a property owner, and you're still paying, I guess, your portion, your share, to be able to support this levy. So you know, you may have some renters in the community and those types of things, and that would help generate those dollars for this surtax, or excuse me, the instructional support levy.
Yeah.
So right now, I mean, if you look at the numbers, the 196 versus the 191, it is as close to 50% as possible. And I think if it's working, I've been here 2 years and I have yet to receive a complaint regarding the income surtax versus the property tax for ISL.
Yeah, I've never had anyone ask anything about that, but it's also really detail-oriented program as well.
Yep.
Most people wouldn't pay much attention to directly. Well, I would make the motion to approve the resolution to consider continued participation in the ISL program and set a public hearing for next board meeting, May 12th. Yeah. Second.
Great. Bergstrom,
Yes.
Taylor,
Yes.
Merritt.
Yes. Okay, good stuff. Moving on. Kind of exciting.
This is exciting. So if you guys remember in July, we were really excited and we actually had a special board meeting because we had the ability to finally purchase a 12-passenger vehicle. The state of Iowa has a clause in there that says that if you were to purchase something beyond an 8-passenger, it needs to be a used vehicle. So they are a hot commodity trying to secure one. Melissa knew that we were going to be purchasing one, so when we did the budget, it actually ended up, when we purchased in July, was less than what we had thought. It has been well received. I think that we've used it quite a bit. It allows us some flexibility in our transportation with our kids being so involved and allowing a chaperone, a sponsor and or a coach to be able to drive that vehicle. Informally, I was meeting with Denny. I said, hey, if you ever get your eyes on another one, maybe we ought to consider purchasing one and trading one in. And about a month later, he actually came and said, hey, I found one. So my first response to Melissa is, can we afford this without really adjusting our budget? And because we bought something lower, because we're trading in, this does work out for you guys to consider. And my recommendation, I think it's a good move. I think it allows us some flexibility. It doesn't increase our fleet. We're really just swapping out an 8 to a 12 to allow us greater flexibility in our transportation.
I'll move to approve the reduce for sale of the 15 Chevy Express and purchase a 2022 Chevy one and purchase for $23,000.
I'll second.
Bergstrom,
Yes.
Taylor,
Yes.
Merritt.
Yes.
Any question on that?
Yeah.
Why does the state have 8 passengers for school districts?
I don't know. Let me find out, and I'll put it in my weekly when I find out the answer.
It seems like
Well, if you're gonna explain the legislature, we have
yeah,
more questions
yeah.
than
no
that.
kidding, it's gonna be a longer list.
Yeah. I'll see if I can find the answer, and on my
That's all right.
weekly update, I'll include that information once I get the answer.
Speaking of legislature,
Yeah.
let's talk about the AEA.
Yeah, so I actually put this together, and I just want to talk a little bit about Senate File 2612, which was a change in Heartland AEA. So we have talked a little bit about this, and even in my weekly updates that I provide you guys. But before you guys approve, or my recommendation to approve some contracts, I want to share with you guys why. So AA service model and changes after Senate File 2612. That was actually last year, and they actually had a transition where it was year one versus year two. So prior to this upcoming school year, dollars that were generated from the school district actually flowed through to AEA. So we would generate about $280,000 to $300,000. We would simply flow that dollars through. It's our tax-based dollars given to us. We then take it and give it to AA. What that actually allowed us to do is have special education services, media services, and education services. And it was simply, if we need those services, we kind of had access to everything with that dollars.
It was like a buffet. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, ultimately, I think that's a fair analogy. They would be able to provide the supports and services that were required per law, but then it was also based off of our professional development plan, the things that we needed. We would be able to have access to those. Some schools probably leveraged it more. Some maybe ate a little bit less off of the buffet girl. In return, we really received those services that we needed. So after Senate File 2612, really and moving forward, it's that bottom portion. It is now still broken up into special education services, media services, and ed services. And what they have said is 90% of your special education dollars still needs to flow through to AEA to be able to provide IEP requirements for IDEA, meeting those requirements. And then the district is able to hang on to 10% of that special education dollars, but we need to use it for special education services. So it isn't that we just get to recoup that and put it into our general budget. We need to make sure that we're spending those dollars. And that could be we are contracting additional services through AEA, or it could be that we're using it for our special education supports that we have built in for our district. Media services and education services, 100% of that actually goes back into your general budget, and then it is a fee-for-service model. So if we want to go to the buffet, we need to actually say they've really identified this service is worth this much money. This service is this much money. And
what would be a specific thing you would buy?
Yep. Great example would be is maybe we are doing an adoption of a new curriculum, and we want somebody to come in and support our teachers with that adoption. That would maybe be an example.
So you might pay $5,000 or something. I mean,
whatever the going rate is, and to be honest with you, the going rate that they've identified is around $900 per day.
Okay.
Yep. Another example, you got it already, but maybe we do a data analysis. We're really analyzing things. They might bring somebody in here to help us understand how do we analyze that data to be informed on our instructional practices. So that might be an example of what we would use.
Is 17,000? I mean, have you spent that much? Do you think in the past, or I mean, you no way to know that?
Be hard for us to know for sure. Yep. So with the media services, the ed services, that ultimately is around $80,000 sitting there that we needed to actually decide what supports do we need. And in your guys' packets, there were two individuals that we have really utilized quite a bit. We think that they are high quality, and we think that they can continue to help us with our desired daily experiences, supporting our administrators, helping our specialists, and really helping us on a weekly basis. They went back and AEA said you can purchase fee for service $900 per day, or you can buy a portion of their contract ahead of time. And that allowed us to secure these individuals for 1 day a week to be on our campus to help us with a number of things. So if you look at those contracts, they're around $27,000, I believe, and some change. If you actually look at the media services, ed services, pool those together and subtract these two contracts, we're still actually getting the supports and services that we need. We were able to identify the people that we wanted, and we still have money possibly on the top to be able to purchase other things, or it sits in the general budget.
By not picking the two that you wanted, you would be just whatever they.
Yes, Earl, it truly was. And honestly, when I actually put in the recommendation for the two individuals that we requested, I said it was contingent on those individuals because I wanted high quality individuals that we knew and trusted, and we know that they have high capacity. Yeah. So I felt like I wanted to take this opportunity. I know that there's been a lot of conversations about AEA, what it used to look like versus what it's moving to, and I wanted to explain that. I hope that the conversation then also, why are we presenting two contracts for AEA? Hopefully you guys understand why I'm presenting those to you tonight.
No, that's well stated and very well laid out. That makes a lot of sense. Quick question on media services. I know we've used a lot of printing services in the past. Anticipate still doing some of that, or do you know?
We will still utilize some of that. If you take the 38,000 and you take the 27,000 off, we still got a buffer of that, and we still can provide those services, and they're going to be at still a reduced rate. So we can do some large quantity printing, and it would actually allow us the ability to do that, so long as we're planning out ahead of time.
Yeah. Sure.
Good question.
All right. I'll make the motion to approve the services agreements with the Heartland AEA for next year with the two consultants listed.
Bergstrom,
Yes.
Taylor,
Yes.
Merritt.
Yes. All right, contracts and letter of assignment.
There's all kinds of hands out and bouts. Clerical error was due to extended contracts totals being added twice into the total contract.
Oh no.
So, those are those corrections. That includes the one that was already included in the consent. Do you mind if I
go ahead and start? Yep.
So just some math information regarding the certified increases, and that includes the counselors and the school nurse. The net increase was 6.01%. The minimum raise was $12.50. The maximum raise required by the new state minimums for the 12-year teacher was $58.75. The average teacher raise is $28.82, and the median raise is $2,915, not $29.15. So really trying to take care of the teachers there. The hourly staff was a 50-cent raise. The average director and admin raise was $2,500. And then just a note that we approved the fall and winter non-faculty coaches over the summer, so they are not included in any of your sports lists.
Thank you for going over that. I want to add to it is if you guys remember, they increased the state of Iowa minimum salary. So this has been really an interesting process of taking where we were, and I always feel like it compacted the salary schedule. So last year it went to $47.5 as a new teacher. It's great. We're paying our new teachers more money, okay? But then also that said, well, what are we doing for those other people that are making less than $47.5? And really all of a sudden we had some things that we really had to work through hard over the last couple of years. That $47.5 that was last year is now $50,000 this year. And they also gave us a target out here at year 12. We have to be at $62,000. So we have taken a lot of our money. You guys could see what was in your packet as well as the information that Melissa just presented. But we have really had to spend some time to really try and flex this so that you don't have a year 11 employee that is making $53,000. Because simply to meet state minimums for that next year, we'd have to give a $9,000 salary increase. This has created some challenges. I'll be the first to admit it has, but we're paying our teachers more money. And ultimately, we had to really work on massaging, I would say, the beginning portion of that. I'm excited to say at least this year we're able to give a minimum of $1,250. And if you look at that average, we're giving $2,900 to or as an average for our teachers.
All right.
There's no mandate on hourly rate for that.
There is not.
That is just a figure. You pick kind of what's in the community and you. Okay.
Great question. We want to be competitive with that, and we're participating in the West Central Athletic Conference. So we've created a comparative for all superintendents to really review. So we are entering in that information. We want to take care of our hourly staff. And I'm really looking and analyzing that information. And I don't really want to try and be average. I want to be the leader of that because we have great people that are in our classified positions. One thing that is a benefit for us in Ogden is that we do offer insurance benefits for that. And some districts do not for their classified employees. So I think that the 50 cents, yes, we're trying to make sure that we're keeping up with that, and we're also using some comparative information.
I move that the 24-25 contracts and letters for the sign.
That should be 25-26.
Oh, 25-26.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I'll second that.
Bergstrom.
Yes.
Taylor. Merritt.
Yes. All right. 25-26 transportation pay rates.
Very similar to what I just discussed. We're always looking and analyzing our comparatives. We actually reached out to Denny Good and said, where do you think that we need to go? And the recommendation tonight is based off of where we need to stay to be competitive and also what our director indicated that he felt was appropriate.
Yeah, I'll make the motion to approve the 47 for regular routes, 21 for in-town, and 21 bucks an hour for activity trips in the 25-26 school year.
Bergstrom.
Yes.
Taylor.
Yes.
Merritt.
Yes. Now on to homeschool practitioner pay rates.
It was interesting to see it actually hasn't moved the needle since 2016-17. So when you look and we're really trying to take care of people, we need to make sure that we're taking care of all people. So the recommendation of a $5 increase from 25 to 30, 30 is still, I mean, if you're looking at for that, it's probably within, when you look at our per diem and those things that we're paying our teachers, this would be in line with.
I move to approve the licensed homeschool practitioner pay rate of $30.
I'll second.
Bergstrom.
Yes.
Taylor.
Yes.
Merritt.
Yes. All right. This is a fun one. Teacher early signing bonus.
Yeah, per the law, they have 21 days to turn in their contract. We're hoping to issue those contracts tomorrow. Yep. So we're going to get those out in front. This is a busy season, so we really want to know what people's intentions are. We want to incentivize people to be turning in their contracts. So it's something that we've done in the past. Give them 5 days to really decide. But then it also allows us to have a better understanding on kind of what their intentions are. They still have the 21 days if they so choose. They would just simply forego the little incentive that we're issuing them to turn it in early.
I'll make the motion to approve the $100 early signing bonus for certified staff members who return their contracts by 3:30 on Tuesday, April 22nd.
All right.
Bergstrom.
Yes.
Taylor.
Yes.
Merritt.
Yes. While we're spending money, we have another contract to negotiate. So, is it exempt or closed?
It is
Call it
exempt.
exempt. So we actually need to go into a brief exempt session to negotiate the superintendent contract. So, right, we can just say this. With that, we'll be right back. We'll be brief, I think.
We won't be long.
No, it won't.
I don't know how to turn it off, so.
Sorry, guys. Okay.
All right. After discussion in exempt session, I will make the motion to approve the first year of a new 3-year contract with Superintendent Joshua Heyer for next year's salary of $156,000. Second.
Bergstrom,
Yes.
Taylor,
Yes.
Mary.
Yes. Okay. You want to talk about this, Mr. Heyer?
Absolutely.
Everyone's waiting on this one.
Yeah, I got a list here. So I just want to go over, I provided you guys tonight information on the days that we miss for the school year. There's one more there. Let me actually walk you through this. So inclement weather accumulation. What I ultimately did here is when we either released early or we were a late start or there was a full cancellation, I went ahead and entered that in there. So you can see from January 21st all the way down to March 6th, what happened and then the reason for it. Some of it was wind chill, some of it was significant amount of snow. Ultimately, when you pull all those together, you go down to our teachers' contracts is 190 days, but our students, if you guys recall, are on hours. The calendar that was approved last year was 1100.7. So I deducted the amount of time that we missed for students, and I deducted the 4 days that we had for our teachers when they were out, totaling 186, and then you can see we were actually short of the state minimum of 1,080. Taking all that into consideration, a bare minimum, we have to get back up to the 1,080 hours. That's non-negotiable. We have to do that to meet state recommendation. So then it was really a conversation of what do we do to get there? And I think it would be best interest to bring students and staff to make up 3 days. So that would be after Memorial Day, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday for students, and our staff then would have 3 of the 4 days that they would make up that they had missed. I would ask that if you guys approve the recommendation, you are also foregoing or waiving one of our teachers' contract days, but not impacting their overall salary for it. We're keeping their contracts it is. We're forgiving because we know teachers are working beyond the 190 already. So what questions do you guys have with the information that I shared with you?
Will that last student day on May 29th be full day, or will there be an early out that day?
We're going to have to clearly communicate it because on the original calendar, it had a 2-hour early dismissal. And we think with semester finals and all those things that are going on, and in addition to meet those hours, we're going to run a normal Tuesday, a normal Wednesday will be a 1-hour early release as families are familiar with that.
Sure.
And then Thursday will be a full day.
Full day.
Yeah. And we will make sure to communicate that in public communication.
And I will post an updated calendar on the website that I put on there too to make sure regular dismissal time, so it can be referenced back. If they lose, the communication on social media, there'll be a point on the website to go see that.
Yeah, that is.
It is a change, but I think with the inclement weather that we had this year, we had a lot. We had a lot of weather. I think this is a good solution to be able to get our minimum hours, and I think it is a good gesture to compensate one of those days for our certified employees.
I'll make a motion to approve the amended 24-25 school calendar, moving the last student day from May 23rd to May 29th, and to reduce all FY25 certified staff contracts by 1 day with no impact on pay.
I'll second.
Bergstrom?
Yes.
Taylor?
Yes.
Merritt?
Yes. All right. High school course handbook amendment.
Back in January, we brought our handbook and you guys approved it. It's been formally board approved. After actually looking inadvertently, we missed a class, and part of it was because if you remember, Steve Kehoe came in this year and is providing instruction. We have a new person called Blake Peterson. You guys saw his contract tonight. Based off of the skills that he has as well as student interest, we have, I think, 10 to 12 kids that have signed up for veterinary and science. It was inadvertently missed. It was not in the original book that you guys approved. And I just would ask for an amendment so that we are formal and that course can be offered for next year.
Yeah, I'll make the motion to approve adding vet science to the high school course handbook. Second.
Bergstrom?
Yes.
Yes.
Merritt?
Yes. All right. Policy revisions. It looked like these were mostly just to adhere to federal law, new federal law.
There's federal law as well as state law, specifically Senate File 418. We have until June 30th, even though we will do a first reading and a second reading, our policies will stay in place until June 30th, July 1, we will need to follow federal and state law. And really what those are is it's a removal of gender identity as a protected class. So we're following the law in that coordination.
I'll make the motion to approve the first reading of the revised policies, the entire laundry list of them. You can look up online if they so choose.
Right. Exactly. Bergstrom,
Yes.
Taylor,
Yes.
Merritt.
Yes. Okay, on to public comment. Do we have Still scrolling.
There's a lot.
Nobody? Nobody. Okay, wonderful. Thanks for grabbing that, Melissa. All right, board calendar. Oh my goodness. We don't have anything really to discuss on that tonight, do we?
I don't think so.
All right. I will throw it over to you, Mr. Heyer.
You
have
bet.
anything?
Been a long meeting. I just want to give you guys an update. Amy and I had a great conversation with Elm Street. If you guys remember, our Elm Street is our state required volunteer program. So we actually have our 4-year-old program. We have some students. They also have some students. We had a good conversation. There were some things that when we did a desk audit that we just need to make sure we're in compliance. Amy does a great job of kind of leading and making sure that we're doing a lot of that documentation. I think there's been some further conversations that I would like to engage in the next year or so of are we serving our students and setting them up for success and making sure that we are providing access to preschool and making sure what barriers do our families have. And I don't know what that is, but I think I would really like to collect some data on what are some of those barriers. Maybe transportation might be it. I don't know what it could be. But then actually look and say, what are we providing internally? What are our community partners providing? And is that in tight alignment to guarantee that we're setting our students up for success when they enter into kindergarten? So I just wanted to present that information that there will be more to come, but it has been an area that I've been really kind of spinning in my head to really figure out over the next year or two, what does that really look like? We had our facility master planning meeting. We walked the middle school, high school campus. So that was some staff members. It was some of our directors and admin, and it was also community members. I think that really provided them an opportunity to really shine a light on some of our spaces that are well, and also some opportunities that we have at our campus. So that is going well. Again, that is led through FRK. Our next meeting, we'll do a similar situation, and we're actually going to walk the elementary campus and really shine a light on what is well in there and what might be some opportunities there. Once that is done, they will collect that information, and FRK and or I will make a presentation to the board on really the findings of that facility master plan. And then I think this maybe is a calendar or just kind of an awareness, but over the months of June or July, I would like our instructional subcommittee to come together and have a meeting. I think it's important for us to have a conversation about what senior year plus is. So I'd like to inform the board on what that is for us tonight. It's an umbrella that really talks about our college courses. Are they accessing the Hunziker Center? Are there courses that we're actually offering here? Is it our online courses? Is there some PSEOs? There's just a lot of different things that are under senior year plus. And I'd like to have that conversation with our subcommittee and then inform you guys, educate you a little bit more, and then bring that out to the larger audience. So I guess I want to kind of get that going, and maybe in June or July, how we might be able to come together.
Yeah. Okay.
And that's all I had. I just wanted to talk about those 3 items tonight.
Excellent. Anybody have any questions or comments?
Just a comment. I just want to appreciate your leadership regarding this pledge. So, I made a lot of noise last fall, but I just wanted to let you know I appreciate it. I still haven't understood how you can kill your husband with a frozen pork chop, but it was a nice play. It was nice. And I attended it. So.
Thank you, but I think the credit goes to the staff that is leading that,
Yeah.
and the kids that provided that opportunity for our community. So thank you, but it really is
You
on.
can let them know.
I will make sure I send that message.
You got anything, Pete?
I do not.
All right, should we go home?
Make a motion to adjourn.
Bergstrom,
Yes.
Taylor,
Yes.
Merritt.
Yes. Thanks for coming, everyone.